Hey, what's up? Ian here, and today I'm going to review this Moondrop Joker. I've already unboxed this, and if you haven't watched that unboxing video, I'll leave a link somewhere up here or here. But in this video, I'm just going to focus on my sound impression and my review of this Moondrop Joker. Just a very quick recap. This is a full closed back headphone. It's got a 50mm dynamic driver inside, and the retail price for this is $80 US. It's available on Shenzhen Audio's website. So if you guys are interested, do check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. It's really hot out here. I happened to be passing by this place, so well, I thought why not, and I was using this while I was walking. Alright, so let's first begin with the accessories. Well, not much in terms of accessories. Came with this cable, right? So this cable, and also the adapter, the 1/4" adapter, which came with this 3.5 headphone jack. I don't really use it because I don't really have a home entertainment system, but I use mostly the 3.5 headphone jack. So this is the headphone itself. Now let's talk about the design and the build quality of this. The design of this is okay. I mean, if you look at the shape of it, it's over the ear type of design, and it's actually pretty nice. But in terms of build quality, now the cups itself do have this brass finish, and it's hollow. So what happens is that when I knock onto it, it tends to create a sound, and that hollow-ish sound is kind of, I don't know, sounds cheap, but actually it's not, right? I mean, it's $80, so I wouldn't expect it to sound like it's 500 or 100 or 1,000 bucks. But in terms of build quality and the design itself, I mean, it suits its price point. It's $80, so I wouldn't expect too much for this. Now, in terms of fit and comfort, they fit my head really well, right? There's no complaints, right? It doesn't give me any hot spot on the top here. I'm wearing my hat now, but when I'm at home, I don't usually wear my hat. So this actually is very comfortable on the top. As you can see, there are padding, and there's some cooling pads inside. I mean, they are not exactly cooling pads, but foam pads, okay? And the clamping force is just nice. It's not too harsh on the sides of my head or on my skull. And as you can see, it covers the entire side of my ear, including the back, and it's really comfortable to wear. And there's quite a bit of heat, but the heat dissipation from the ear pads are actually pretty good. As you can see, there's quite a bit of vents on the ear pads itself. So wearing this for long periods of time is actually pretty okay. So in comfort wise, I find it is pretty good for $80. Now let's talk about the sound of this. First, let's talk about the drivability for this. And these headphones are really hard to drive. They are really difficult. And if you think that you can drive it off your phone or your iPad, then think again, because this is not going to happen. It's not going to be driven off your phone or any device that does not have an amplification or inside it on your source. So you need to have a source that has got amplification, and then it will push this headphone. So anyway, these headphones are, well, more for studio monitoring or referencing at home, right? I don't recommend it to be worn outdoors unless you want to lug your huge amplifier or portable amplifier with you. But yeah, it's more for home use. Okay, so not easy to drive. Now, in terms of gears that matches this, I would say neutral sounding gear. All right, DACs or home amplification DACs, like the K9, those are actually pretty neutral, and it matches this headphone really well. Or a DAP player like the M15S or the dongle. I mean, that dongle could hardly push this, but well, if you give it a bit more volume, it will open up a little bit. So, but that M15 does match this Joker. Okay, so that's for gear matching. Now let's talk about tone and timbre for this. This is a neutral sounding headphone, basically very clear, clean sound, no texture, well, very little. And the tone of it is very neutral sounding, very flat, I would say lean sounding, and I would say thin as well, a little bit light on the note weight, so neutral sounding headphone. Okay, now in terms of technicalities, these are okay in terms of the overall performance. For 80 bucks, they actually perform really well. I'm not saying it's the best, all right, 80 bucks, but for a 50mm dynamic driver, the overall resolution and how resolving this headphone is actually pretty good, and it's, you know, does perform above its price point. If I listen to my hi-fi-ments are planars, all right, and I do have these Sundaras, and these are actually pretty close to the Sundaras, but I mean, I would say Sundaras are still a little bit more resolving than this, but this is 80 bucks, Sundaras is 300 bucks, so a big difference there. Overall, the sound separation on this and the overall sound stage is really good, and yeah, it's quite a nice sound stage, very natural sounding sound stage, and the sound separation is fantastic on this. Details on this is really good. I can pick up a lot of nuances, and yeah, overall a very good technical performing headphone. Okay, now in terms of sound and the sound signature, if you look at the graph somewhere up here, this is a neutral sounding headphone. Basically the bass is neutral, is flat almost, and then it gains up to the treble pretty fast at the tail end, maybe around the 2K region, and that steep slope there will make this headphone a very bright headphone. Okay, so if you listen to this, well, I've listened to it. When I was listening to it, it sounds very lean and very bright. Okay, this is a lean and bright and neutral sounding headphone, and I would say it's a very suitable headphone if you are doing a lot of editing, a lot of referencing, and sound production as well, because there's not a lot of coloration to the sound that this produce. But for music lovers, this is going to be an issue because you won't get that enough color and texture to your music. It's basically quite flat, you know, it's like a flat latte, and not much spice added to it. So I would say if you like those kind of neutral sounding and lean sounding tone and timbre, and with a flat bass, then this is actually a pretty good headphone to go for, and very neutral sounding as well. The bass is there, right? The bass is there, sub bass is rumbly. It's just that it's not a very prominent frequency on certain tracks and certain genres, especially, you know, like even trance or techno or EDMs. The bass is there. It's just that it's not enough, you know, to get my head bobbing or my feet tapping kind of bass, right? The sub bass, the rumble is all right. The mid bass as well, the punch is not a very forceful or strong punch. It's just there, and you won't feel much from it, and you won't get any response from it. So bass is, yeah, just neutral and sufficient. In terms of the mids are really good. My instruments like the pianos, violins, trumpets, they sound really clear and forward. I can hear them very, I would say, prominently, and the tone and the texture of that instruments, they sound very clean, very nice, very light, and very natural sounding. All right, so I like listening to instruments on this, and they sound really nice and very clear and detailed as well. For vocals, male vocals, they don't really sound really good on this. Not much body, you know, coming out from the male vocals. Female vocals, they sound bright and exciting, a little bit harsh, okay, I would say, and very, well, they sparkle. Female vocals, they sparkle on these headphones. And basically I like listening to female vocals on this. Male vocals, not so much, but female vocals, it depends on which track, but most of my female vocals, they sound really good on this. Okay, but there is a little bit of shoutiness on this headphone in terms of female vocals. Now let's talk about the treble. Treble is bright, and the gain to the treble is actually really, I would say, spicy and hot as well. Very energetic treble on this, and overall it does give, well, musically, does give my music a little bit of that spiciness and that sizzle on the top, and sometimes it gets a little bit too hot. So I would say, yeah, it's a bit harsh on the treble, but it does have a very bright treble. So to me, I like bright treble, and I like treble that is spicy enough so that I get a lot of nuances of details, and also things from the top, or the sounds from the top, and cymbal strikes, hi-hats, claps, and all that. They actually sound really clear and forward to me. And overall, the treble does roll off quite sharply, and so not much of an air to the treble part there, but it's okay. I mean, so far it sounds pretty natural. I don't really hear that it's really harsh and cut off, right, in terms of the roll off of the treble. Okay, so overall I wouldn't recommend this for the masses. I would recommend this for a very specific group of people. Firstly, for those content creators, musicians, and mostly people who are doing editing, video editing. These are pretty good headphones for editing and you know, referencing kind of thing, and also for those people who likes neutral sounding tuning, right? That if you don't want bass, you don't want any of that low end to interfere with your details, then this is actually a very good headphone to go for. 80 bucks, and I would say it's a very niche tuning where, well, it's targeted at a certain crowd of people. Not everyone, especially the general public, will like this type of tuning. All right, so that's my overall review for this, and I will give this headphone 3 stars out of 5 stars, okay, for this headphone. And yeah, it's 80 bucks. It's not an expensive headphone, and it's really good as well in terms of the build. Well, not the best, but it's pretty good for 80 bucks. Okay, and that concludes my overall review for this Moondrop Joker. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.